The hidden history of spices, from ancient rituals to global trade. What if I told you that the spices you casually sprinkle into your meals carry the echoes of ancient healing, cultural identity, and even the rise and fall of global empires? From the legendary tales of cinnamon to bloody expeditions launched in pursuit of black pepper, these small and unassuming seeds once ignited discoveries, sparked wars, and shaped the world's great trade routes. Every flavor, from the turmeric in your curry to the cumin in your soup, echoes a journey thousands of years old. Once you uncover the hidden history of spices and the ways they transformed our world, you'll never look at your kitchen the same way again. The invisible architects of flavor. The silent power of spices. The story of spices is the story of humanity itself. A simple pinch of black pepper in your kitchen today is the descendant of a global force that shaped diplomacy, warfare, trade, and cultural exchange for over 1,000 years. Though we treat them merely as flavorings, spices have been deeply intertwined with human beliefs, trade practices, and political systems since early history. Anthropologists agree that spices created humanity's first global network. Long before writing was invented, spices were already traveling across continents. These small but potent seeds, barks, and roots shaped early food preservation, survival strategies, and cultural rituals. Calling spices invisible architects is no exaggeration. The familiar flavors of modern cuisine are the result of a long chemical and cultural evolution that unfolded over millennia. Even the scent of cinnamon can trigger both nostalgia and biological responses in the human brain. This is why spices are not merely culinary tools. They are carriers of memory, cultural consciousness, and identity. This section reveals a simple truth. Spices do not end on the plate. They are one of the delicate yet decisive threads of human history. The birth of ancient cuisine, early traces of spices, and the dawn of agriculture. Archaeological excavations show that humanity's relationship with spices dates back to its earliest stages. Seed remains discovered in Çatalhöyük, traces of cinnamon in Africa, and black pepper in South Asia reveal that even before cities rose, people were already fascinated by aromatic plants. Spice use is directly tied to the emergence of agriculture. As early communities began cultivating specific plants, they discovered medicinal, aromatic, and preservative qualities. These discoveries gradually formed the foundation of culinary culture. Cumin and coriander found in Egyptian tombs show they were used not only in cooking, but also in mummification rituals and sacred ceremonies. Ancient cuisines were far from simple. The Hittites flavored meat with white cumin. Saffron in Mesopotamia served as both dye and seasoning. Chinese texts recommended ginger for ailments ranging from stomach pain to colds. These early recipes and practices laid the groundwork for the spice combinations used around the world today. The roots of modern cuisine were planted in the spice gardens of the ancient worlds. Salt, cinnamon, myrrh, the ritual power of spices in ancient civilizations. Understanding the history of spices requires more than studying food. In antiquity, spices held immense spiritual, symbolic, and ritual value. In Egypt, myrrh formed the basis of purification rituals. Cinnamon was a rare substance reserved for royal burials. In Rome, saffron was considered worthy of the gods and was scattered along ceremonial routes during imperial victory processions. Their significance went beyond scent or taste. Spices embodied humanity's attempts to understand the unseen world. Myrrh symbolized purification. Cinnamon was believed to offer spiritual protection. Cloves were used to ward off evil spirits. Cumin was scattered in rituals for prosperity and abundance. Thus, spices became vessels for belief, fear, hope, and divine connection. They were not merely trade goods, but spiritual symbols guiding ancient societies. The scent of healing, spices in ancient medicine. The history of spices intertwines closely with the earliest experiments in healing. Long before modern medicine emerged, humans explored the therapeutic power of seeds, barks, and roots, many of which remain foundational in today's medicinal practices. Ayurvedic texts recommend turmeric for inflammation. Classical Chinese medical writings list ginger as essential for digestion. Mesopotamian tablets describe applying cumin to wounds. These were not random tricks. They were carefully recorded, transmitted, and refined over generations. In ancient Egypt, cloves served as a natural anesthetic for toothaches. In Rome, black pepper was prescribed for indigestion and colds. Dioscorides, the renowned Greek physician, documented hundreds of medicinal plants and spices with meticulous detail. Spices became the pharmacy of the ancient world, fragrant, colorful, potent, and vital. The rise of the spice routes, the roots of the first global trade. The true power of spices lies in the lengths to which societies went to obtain them. Spices grew only in specific climates. They were difficult to harvest, and demand far exceeded supply. This scarcity and desire birthed the first major trade networks, the foundation of global interconnectedness. From herders and nomads to maritime traders, countless groups sought ways to transport precious aromatics. Black pepper traveled from India through Arabia to Rome. Cinnamon was carried from Sri Lanka along secretive routes, with traders even inventing myths about giant birds collecting cinnamon to conceal their true sources. Spice routes were more than economic pathways. They were arteries of culture. Languages, religions, clothing, ideas, and even diseases moved along these routes. Every seed held a story, and every ship carried cultural exchange across continents. The spice trade was one of humanity's first global networks, the ancient world's equivalent of the modern internet. Empires of spice, blood, gold, and global domination. Here begins the most dramatic chapter of the entire story. Spices were not just flavors, they were power. Nations went to war over them. Empires rose and collapsed because of them. In the 15th and 16th centuries, Europe's greatest ambition was to reach the Spice Islands, present-day Indonesia. Cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and mace were so valuable that a single shipload of spices could equal the treasury of a kingdom. The Portuguese attempted to dominate the seas by circling Africa to reach India. The Ottoman Empire controlled the land routes and dominated the trade for centuries. The Dutch created the VOC, the world's first major multinational corporation, to seize control of the spice trade. The British pursued global power step by step through dominion over spice routes. Even Columbus's arrival in the Americas was driven by a single motive: to shorten the spice route. Black pepper was so valuable that it was used as a form of currency. The fragrance of spices lingered in the shadows of the greatest geopolitical struggles of history. Spice wars at sea. The rivalry of Portugal, the Ottoman Empire, and the Dutch. When trade shifted from land to sea, world history transformed. Maritime navigation became not just a method of exploration, but a strategic weapon for controlling the spice flow. Oceans became battlegrounds. Portugal, the first European power to reach India by sailing around Africa, fought to monopolize the spice trade. The Ottoman Empire, long the master of land routes, stood in direct opposition. Then came the Dutch. With the VOC, they built one of the most formidable trade empires in history. They seized islands, waged naval battles, built fortified ports, and sometimes forced entire populations into single-crop production. Fleets sank, colonies rose, and international tensions erupted, all for spices. Spices had become geopolitical weapons capable of dividing the world. Myth, ritual, and sacred ceremony. The spiritual journey of spices. For thousands of years, spices carried not only material value, but spiritual meaning. In many ancient cultures, scent was considered the closest bridge to the divine. In Egypt, myrrh and frankincense formed the core of sacred incense offered to the gods. Their rising smoke symbolized the connection between heaven and earth. In India, cloves and turmeric were central to purification rites and wedding traditions. In Greece and Rome, saffron was used in sacred spaces and scattered during festivals honoring the god Dionysus. From healing ceremonies to protection against evil forces, spices became universal symbols with profound spiritual roles. Folk beliefs and forgotten symbols of spices. Beliefs about spices were not confined to empires and temples. They flourished in the daily lives of ordinary people. In medieval Europe, cloves were worn as talismans against evil. Cumin was believed to strengthen loyalty between newlyweds. In the Middle East, cinnamon symbolized warmth, protection, and abundance. In Africa, red pepper represented courage and warrior spirit. In many rural regions, turmeric was sprinkled at doorsteps for protection, and black pepper was kept as a charm against the evil eye. These traditions prove that spices shaped not just cuisine, but emotion, symbolism, and folklore. Spices in modern science. chemistry, compounds, and health. Today, spices are not only cultural artifacts, they are subjects of scientific inquiry. A single pinch of spice can now be analyzed for its molecular effects on the body. Turmeric's golden color comes from curcumin, a compound now widely studied for its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. Piperine, the compound that gives black pepper its sharpness, enhances digestion and increases nutrient absorption. Capsaicin in chili peppers stimulates metabolism and is used even in modern pain therapies. Aromas activate the limbic system, influencing emotion and memory. Chemical compounds can affect the immune system. The magic of spices is now confirmed not only by culture, but by science. The rise of gastronomy. How chefs are redefining spices. Today's culinary world is more imaginative and boundary-breaking than ever. Michelin-starred chefs treat spices not simply as ingredients, but as architectural elements of flavor, identity, and narrative. Japanese yuzu in a French dessert, or Turkish sumac brightening a Latin American ceviche. These examples show how modern gastronomy transforms global traditions into new artistic expressions. Spices are now a language. They define a dish's origin, geography, and emotional tone. Through fusion techniques, slow cooking, and molecular gastronomy, spices have been reborn as the storytellers of modern cuisine. Sustainable flavor, ethical trade, and the future of the spice industry. Another crucial dimension of today's spice world is sustainability. Millions rely on spice farming for their livelihood, yet global demand strains natural resources, creating both ecological and economic pressure. Ethical trade programs now aim to support fair wages, protect production regions, and prevent deforestation. Controlled and responsible production models are growing rapidly. Vanilla farming, once associated with violence and smuggling, is now moving toward sustainable oversight. Pepper plantations face the growing impact of climate change, prompting new farming technologies and irrigation systems. The future of spices is inseparable from the future of the planet itself. Your journey of flavor, the hidden potential of spices in daily life. After exploring thousands of years of history, the rise of empires, and the scientific breakthroughs surrounding spices, we arrive at a simple truth. Spices still touch our lives every single day. A jar of cumin in your kitchen is the final link in a chain of cultural heritage carried from one civilization to another. Red pepper flakes echo the naval conflicts that shaped global trade. A pinch of saffron reflects a value system stretching from ancient Persia to medieval Europe. When spices are used thoughtfully, they deepen not only flavor, but our emotional connection with food. The aroma released by toasting a spice can trigger memory, and the scent of freshly ground spices can transform the atmosphere of a home. Spices are the invisible artists of the kitchen, transforming without touch, influencing without words. Every pinch of pepper continues a tradition thousands of years old. The story of spices tells us something profound. The world often changes through the smallest things. A single peppercorn could launch an age of exploration. A pinch of saffron could reshape an empire's economy. A vanilla pod from a distant land could redefine humanity's sense of sweetness. Spices are not decorative details of history. They are its backbone. Follow their trail, and you uncover a vast human story built on scent, taste, healing, trade, and belief. The jars in our modern kitchens are the living remnants of the world's first global network. Every seed is a journey. Every aroma is a memory. Every flavor is a civilization's legacy. And perhaps that is the true miracle. Spices never disappeared. They simply transformed, gaining new meanings, writing new stories. When you open a jar of spice today, it is not just a fragrance that rises. It is the scent of civilization itself.